close your eyes. Slowly, the world around you fades. The boundary between waking and sleep dissolves like mist at dawn. But in that liminal space, that sacred threshold between two worlds, something extraordinary happens. Your consciousness does not cease. It does not diminish. It awakens elsewhere. Imagine this. You find yourself in a place you have never seen, yet it feels intimately familiar. The landscape shifts and breathes with its own logic. The rules of physics bend. You can fly. You can move through walls. Time becomes fluid. And then, as suddenly as it began, you surface back into your body, gasping at the memory of that other world. You wake and ask yourself, was that real? For thousands of years, the greatest minds of human civilization have asked this same question. But their answers were radically different from what modern materialism tells us. In ancient Egypt, the priesthood did not see sleep as mere rest. They saw it as departure, a sacred journey where the soul separated from the body and traveled to the realm of the gods. They built temples of sleep, sanctuaries where initiates would lie in darkness and ritual, deliberately inducing prophetic visions. These were not fantasies. They were pilgrimages to hidden dimensions. The Greeks understood this mystery too. They honored Hypnos, the god of sleep, as a guide who conducted souls to other worlds. In the sanctuaries of Asclepius, the sick would come not for medicine, but for dreams, for it was believed that divine healing came through visions in the night. In India, the ancient seers who composed the Vedantic texts spoke of consciousness as oscillating between four states: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and turiya, a fourth state of superconsciousness, where the soul recognizes its true nature. For the yogis, the dream realm was not a side effect of sleep. It was a gateway to truth itself. Yet in our modern age, we have been taught to dismiss all of this. We have been conditioned to believe that dreams are nothing but electrical impulses, random firings of neurons producing meaningless images. Sleep, we are told, is biological maintenance, nothing more. But what if this explanation is incomplete? What if consciousness does not disappear when you sleep, but rather shifts frequency? What if the visions you experience in dreams are actual journeys to other dimensions of existence? This is what we are about to explore. The mystery of sleep has captivated humanity since ancient times. Yet the ancients did not merely wonder. They revered sleep as a sacred gateway, where the soul communes with forces far beyond the material world. In the temples of ancient Egypt, sleep was deliberately cultivated as a spiritual practice. The priesthood developed rituals to induce temple sleep, a controlled descent into prophetic dreaming, where initiates received direct guidance from the divine realms. These were not idle fantasies. Historical records suggest visions so precise that priests could later verify them in waking life. There are accounts of miraculous healings granted through dream revelations and prophecies that manifested with uncanny accuracy. The ancient Greeks carried this wisdom forward. They honored Asclepius, the god of medicine, who was said to appear in dreams and reveal cures for ailments. Pilgrims traveled across the Mediterranean to sleep in his temples, trusting that divine intelligence would whisper the secret of healing in the night. Philosophers and physicians alike honored this as genuine spiritual technology. But it was in ancient India where the deepest understanding took root. The Vedantic philosophers spoke of consciousness not as simply on or off, but as a spectrum. Awareness passes through four states: Jagrat, waking; Swapna, dreaming; Sushupti, deep sleep; and Turiya, pure consciousness itself. The dream state was not inferior, but a direct gateway to truth. For yogis, mastery of sleep meant mastery of consciousness itself. By maintaining awareness during dreams through swapna yoga, they could explore the astral planes, dimensions as real as the physical world, yet composed of subtler substances and governed by different laws. This was applied technology of consciousness. Among shamanic cultures worldwide, from the Amazon to Central Asia, sleep was the primary tool for spiritual work. Shamans deliberately entered deep trance sleep to journey between worlds, to communicate with spirits, and to heal from a distance. These journeys were not random hallucinations, but mapped territories, with consistent landmarks that shamans could teach to apprentices. What unites all these traditions, Egyptian, Greek, Vedantic, shamanic, is a unified understanding. Consciousness does not end when the body sleeps. It does not disappear. Instead, it transforms. It enters another frequency of reality, where the soul is liberated from the constraints of the physical body and free to explore dimensions inaccessible to the waking mind. This was not belief. This was knowledge. With the advent of modern science, sleep became a subject of clinical investigation rather than spiritual reverence. Sigmund Freud, the pioneer of psychoanalysis, reduced dreams to repressed desires and internal conflicts. Dreams were merely psychological safety valves, nothing transcendent, nothing divine. But Carl Jung saw differently. He understood that dreams were not mere personal fantasies, but bridges to the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of archetypal symbols and universal truths shared by all humanity. For Jung, the dream was a pathway to wisdom and self-knowledge that transcended individual psychology. It was a living conversation between the conscious mind and the deeper layers of being. It took later researchers to push these boundaries further. Robert Monroe, through decades of systematic experimentation, documented experiences that conventional neuroscience could not easily explain or dismiss. He demonstrated that consciousness could separate from the physical body and explore other dimensions of existence with remarkable clarity. His findings were radical. The mind is not confined to the skull. Consciousness is far more expansive and independent than materialist neuroscience proposed. Then came Eben Alexander, a respected neurosurgeon who experienced clinical death and profound near-death experience. During his time in that state, his consciousness continued, not in darkness, but in profound clarity that felt more real than waking life. This directly contradicted the fundamental assumption that consciousness depends entirely on brain function. If the brain was essentially not operating, how could consciousness not only persist, but flourish with such intensity? In theoretical physics, researchers like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff proposed that consciousness connects to quantum processes occurring within neurons. This suggested something revolutionary. The brain does not merely produce consciousness like a factory produces goods, but rather serves as a receiver or transducer through which universal consciousness expresses itself. These perspectives, ancient wisdom, psychological insight, documented anomalies, and cutting-edge theoretical physics, converge on a single, startling possibility. Consciousness is not imprisoned in the brain. Sleep is not a shutdown, but an activation, a doorway where the true nature of mind reveals itself. During sleep, consciousness does not vanish. It shifts frequency, like a radio tuning to a different station. As the body descends into rest, the mind awakens to other levels of reality, dimensions that exist parallel to the material world, yet operate according to their own laws. One of the most fascinating phenomena is lucid dreaming, a state in which the dreamer becomes aware they are dreaming while still within the dream. Consciousness operates on two levels simultaneously. The person is dreaming, yet also aware that they are dreaming. This awareness grants extraordinary power. They can fly, walk through walls, reshape the environment at will. The lucid dreamer is not passive, but an active explorer. The ancient Tibetan Buddhist tradition knew of this state long before modern science confirmed it. In the yoga of the dream, monks trained their minds to maintain continuous awareness throughout sleep. By achieving lucidity in dreams, they could accelerate spiritual evolution and approach enlightenment. This was not escapism, but a deliberate technology of consciousness. Modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients knew. Researcher Stephen LaBerge demonstrated that during lucid dreams, brain regions associated with conscious decision-making activate in ways that do not occur during ordinary dreaming. Experiments show that lucid dreamers can even communicate with the external world through predetermined eye movements while remaining asleep, proving consciousness can operate across multiple realities simultaneously. Equally remarkable is the out-of-body experience, or astral projection. People report feeling separated from their physical body, observing themselves from a detached perspective, floating above their sleeping form, able to move freely through space and explore distant locations. These experiences are documented across cultures and centuries. Shamans describe them as soul journeys. Mystics speak of traveling astral planes. Yet mainstream science dismisses them as hallucinations from sleep paralysis. But if they are mere hallucinations, how do some people report accurate details about distant locations they could not have known? How do multiple people sometimes report entering the same space and encountering each other? The evidence suggests something far more mysterious. That consciousness, during sleep, is not confined to the body and can access dimensions beyond what the waking mind can perceive. Throughout history, there exist accounts of people who have dreamed of events that later manifested in waking reality with startling precision. These are not coincidences. They are documented cases of premonitory dreams, visions received during sleep that reveal future events before they occur. One of the most famous accounts involves Abraham Lincoln. Days before his assassination, Lincoln dreamed of his own death, a vivid vision that troubled him deeply. He described the dream to friends, and when he was murdered shortly after, the dream took on an eerie prophetic quality. There are other documented cases. People have dreamed of shipwrecks before they happened. Others have received warnings through dreams about disasters that later occurred. Some have even dreamed of meeting someone they had never encountered, only to meet that exact person days later, recognizing them immediately from the dream. How can we explain this? The materialist perspective suggests coincidence or unconscious processing of subtle cues. But this explanation strains credulity when confronted with the specificity of many documented premonitions. Modern physics offers intriguing possibilities. Quantum mechanics suggests that time may not be linear, that past, present, and future may exist simultaneously in a non-local dimension. If consciousness can transcend the spatial constraints of the body, why could it not also transcend temporal constraints? Perhaps during sleep, when freed from rational filters, the mind can glimpse potentialities that have not yet crystallized into material reality. Some researchers propose that premonitory dreams are evidence of precognition, direct perception of future events. Others suggest consciousness operates in a realm where time does not exist as we ordinarily understand it. And from this timeless perspective, past, present, and future are simultaneously visible. The ancient traditions knew this mystery. The yogis called it jnana, direct knowing, beyond ordinary sensory experience. Shamans knew that in the dream realm, time becomes fluid, and boundaries between present and future dissolve. What emerges is a profound question. If our dreams can reach into the future, what does that tell us about the nature of consciousness itself? What does it reveal about the true structure of reality? Each night, as you close your eyes and surrender to sleep, you cross a threshold into mystery. What once seemed like random images without meaning now reveals itself as a doorway to hidden dimensions, to the unconscious depths of your own being, and perhaps to planes of existence that transcend the physical world entirely. Science tells us that sleep is vital for memory consolidation, for creativity, for the restoration of the body and mind. But the esoteric traditions tell us something far more profound, that sleep is an opportunity for the soul to commune with itself, to access truths that the waking mind cannot grasp, to explore realities as substantial and real as the material world. Consider this. The majority of humanity sleeps through their lives without ever becoming conscious of the magnificent potential that unfolds each night. They drift through dreams, passively, victims of their own unconscious processes, missing the extraordinary opportunity that sleep presents. But those who have learned to direct their intention before sleep, to record and interpret their dreams, to maintain awareness in the dream state itself, they have discovered something truly astonishing. Sleep is not an escape from life. It is an intensification of consciousness, a realm where profound transformation is possible. The question now becomes deeply personal. It becomes your question. Will you continue to see sleep as mere biological necessity, as a time when consciousness dims and the soul retreats into silence? Or will you begin to recognize sleep for what the ancients knew it to be? A sacred portal, a gateway, an opportunity for exploration and transformation. Every night offers you a choice. You can sleep unconsciously, drifting through dreams without awareness or intention. Or you can sleep consciously, with purpose, with curiosity, with the commitment to remember, to explore, to grow. You can use sleep as a powerful tool for healing, for creativity, for spiritual evolution and self-discovery. The mystery of consciousness during sleep will not be solved by passive observation. It will only be understood through direct experience, through your own courage to cross the threshold, to maintain awareness in the darkness, to discover what your soul already knows. The portal is always open. It awaits you every night. The question is, will you step through it?